So the first question is, could you briefly describe your research into the intersection between music, dance, and math and your research with the USC Brain and Music Lab?
Yeah, so before I came to USC, I was really interested in if there were any, I guess, like similarities between math and music. It was actually something that came to mind like my junior year of high school when I took AP Music Theory, and I was having a lot of trouble doing some of like the analyzing of music that my teacher was giving me, like in terms of like Roman numeral analysis and stuff like that. And then I was like, I'm going to treat this like algebra and just see what happens. And it did make that process a little easier for me to kind of understand what was going on in that piece of music that I was looking into. And I was like, that's interesting. So I looked into it a little more. There was a book that I read called Musemathics by Gareth Loy, and that really kind of opened my eyes into like, I guess, the physics behind sound. And that's kind of what pushed this whole thing that I I guess did junior and senior year of high school. And then coming into USC, I still had that interest in the brain sciences and music and the interconnections between all of that. So I started working at a lab at USC. It's called the Brain and Music Lab under Professor Asal Habibi. And we're studying whether music training affects a child's cognitive abilities and their performance in school. And this was something that I was really interested in and very excited about coming into USC. So as a research assistant, I get to work with really cool machinery like electroencephalograms, MRI machines, EEGs, all of that. And it's a very hands-on experience getting to work directly with participants. And I'm studying what I'm interested in. I'm also getting kind of, I guess, like an insight into the research field and how research is conducted. So that was something that was very cool, very interesting, and honestly really fun.
So how did you first become interested in the intersection between the arts and mathematics?
Yeah, so like it was mostly a junior year of high school, honestly. Taking that AP Music Theory class, I was super interested. I was I was good at math. It was something that I liked doing. And I kind of used that to help me in music theory. And when I saw that what I was doing was working, like treating those concepts like algebra, I was very interested in the origins of that, or like what was the science behind that, or how that really, what goes on in the brain that makes these two subjects very easy and related in that way. That's kind of something that I was interested in. I've kind of grown up, in a musical environment. Um, I've been singing since I was like 4 years old. I did choir a lot, and choir. I was very involved in choir in high school, and that was kind of where I brought in the math part of it, if that kind of makes sense. And then just kind of it was a lot of research looking into if there had been any research done with like the similarities between music and these subjects like math, not necessarily just math, but if music help students in their performance in school or with cognition. And that was something that was really interesting to me just as a junior, because I was like, wow, I started treating music like algebra and it made this process so much more easier for me. Why did it do that? And that's kind of how I got into it. It was really that AP Music Theory course that I took junior year of high school. Yeah.
So why did you first decide to join the USC Brain and Music Lab as a research assistant?
Yeah, so I actually read about them my senior year of high school when I was applying to colleges, and I read about the Brain and Music Lab, but also the Brain and Creativity Institute at USC. The Brain and Creativity Institute is one of several research centers, but it's focused on combining the brain sciences with creativity and the arts. And I looked at a lot of labs in the Brain and Creativity Institute. It was something that just seemed really cool to me. And then I read about the Brain and Music Lab with Professor Asal Habibi and the work that they were doing. It was also related to like developmental research, which was something that I was really interested in. I really want to work with kids. I think working with kids is a lot of fun. They're super cute. So that was something that I looked into. I read more about what they were doing, how they were doing it, and if they were looking for undergraduate research assistants, which they were. So I applied, and here I am.
That sounds really cool.
Thank you.
So has anything in your current research in the arts and STEM really surprised or stood out to you?
Yeah. So at the Brain and Music Lab, we're like I said, we're studying whether music training affects a child's cognitive abilities, their performance in school. And a lot of the research that's come out of this lab, it has shown that music does play a part in enhancing a child's cognitive abilities and their skills. And I think that was something that was, I guess, it not only induces like brain and behavioral changes, but there have been a lot of the research that's come out of this lab has shown that there is a relationship between music enhancing some of those skills. And that was something that when I was in high school and I was looking into all this research, a lot of research had been done, but none of it really confirmed nor denied. It was very up in the air. Everyone was kind of like, something is happening, we don't know. And then I think the research coming out of this lab kind of confirmed that a bit more, that like there is something going on. And not only just in cognition, but even social skills and personality. And there's so many parts of the mind and the brain that are affected by music. And that was something that did surprise me, because everything that I had read about or researched before then was kind of up in the air and nothing was really confirmed until I read the papers coming out of this lab.
So besides the topics you're already studying that involve the arts and STEM, are there any other topics related to both arts and STEM that you would like to research in the future?
Hmm. Honestly, yeah, I feel like it's such a broad field and there's so much to discover in it. You know, a lot of people really, I think people really separate the two things. They separate STEM and the arts as not interconnected, but I think there is a lot of, um, what's the word? Not flexibility, but like a lot of, I'll use interconnections again. Anyways, interconnections between the two fields. And I think it would be interesting to maybe go into research to see more of what those are, because I feel like a lot of times, like especially in children, I'm very interested in developmental research and young children, either in like elementary and middle school. And I feel like they're told that you can be one or the other, and I think that kind of puts them in the mindset that they can't do both, or that they can't pursue both. So it'd be interesting to see how, if we change children's mindsets when they're younger, um, and tell them that they can, you know, get involved in both STEM and the arts. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be both, and they can enjoy both in order to be successful in life. And to see kind of how that may influence their, not only their performance in school or their cognition, but also their outlook on life. I think that would be interesting.
So moving a little away from research, are there any clubs or extracurricular opportunities USC offers related to the arts besides research that you are involved in?
Yeah, there's tons. We have like over 1,000 organizations and clubs. There's one that I'm a part of. It's more community service related, but it still has to do with music. It's called Remedy Through Music. So in a non-pandemic era, normally we would go to family centers, local hospitals, retirement homes, and play music for the people there. That's just one that I'm a part of. I know there's a lot. There's like a cappella groups, there's orchestras you can join, choirs, all of that. There's tons related to music at USC.
That's really great. That's actually one of the main things that my nonprofit does as well. We play a lot of music for the elderly. So
Yeah.
it's really nice to hear that USC has something like that. Yeah, so what do you want to do in the future as a career, and how have your studies at USC influenced those career goals?
Yeah, great question. So I am a junior currently at USC, and I'm supposed to have my life figured out. We'll see. I think how my outlook on, I guess, my career path has changed. I guess coming into USC and as a high school senior and then coming here as a freshman, I was very adamant on research. I was like, I want to get into research. I want to do this. I want to do that. Like, I see no other path for me apart from research. And now as a junior, I think I've become more open-minded. I've kind of wondered, I still want to do research. I think that's something that interests me a lot. But I don't think that's just all I want to do. You know, I feel like people put you in a box, and you're told that you can only do one thing, or you think that you can only do one thing, but that's not necessarily true. I think now I'm interested in working for nonprofits, going into NGOs and think tanks, maybe checking out the tech industry and seeing what opportunities would be available to me there. So that's kind of the track that I'm going on now, like maybe looking more into NGOs and nonprofits rather than purely going into research. I think I can still do both. I can still use some of those research skills and aspects of research that I enjoy. I think I can still use those in going into the industries that I want to pursue. So my career path since I came to USC has definitely changed, but I think that's the beauty of it. You don't have to do one thing, and you can change that as many times as you like.
I noticed from your LinkedIn profile that you have had some experience instructing children with disabilities and children that have come through poverty and abuse in dance. And I was wondering if you could briefly describe that experience and maybe say, how you think dance helped those children.
Yeah, so both of those experiences happened like in my junior and senior year of high school, kind of like the summer going into my first semester as a senior in high school. Um, and I learned a lot. They were really beautiful experiences. They were both in Karachi, Pakistan. So I conducted a few dance therapy workshops at the Ujala School, which is a school for children with autism and Down syndrome. And it was honestly a beautiful experience. I feel like I learned so much, not just about like dance or anything, but like about the world through that experience and about, like mental health and all of that. And that was really fun. Honestly, those students were so amazing. And it was a week workshop. And what we did was, what I was trying to see was if was dance therapy for children with Down syndrome and autism, and how that affected, their well-being, and their mental health. If it because movement is very, for patients with Down syndrome and autism, movement is very, I guess, like pleasure inducing. So that was something that I was trying to see. And it was a beautiful experience. They enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed it so much. The energy was amazing. I was on a dance team in high school, so I've been dancing, singing, very involved in music and the arts for a while, and going to Ujala and actually, I guess, getting to work with those students was so fun. They enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed it a lot. I miss them. I'm hoping to visit them when this pandemic is over, so that should be fun. And then I also did a music workshop at the Garage School, which is a school for underprivileged children who are going through abuse in Karachi, Pakistan, coming from broken families, all different circumstances. Um, I did one at the Garage School in Karachi, Pakistan. Then I did another dance and music workshop at a school in Houston, Texas, in Richmond. But at the Garage School, that was really fun. Those students never really, I guess, like sang before. We did like a few choir exercises and stuff, and that was really fun trying to get them involved, because I think they were all super nervous. And once again, I think it was like the energy from these students that really resonated with me. It was the fact that, not just despite everything that they were going through, it was the fact that music and dance was able to bring them joy into their life, and that was something that they could keep with themselves and take with them past these workshops. But they were really amazing experiences, both of them, I guess. I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah.
Oh, that's great. And in these experiences, are there any, I guess, particular instances or moments that really stood out to you? Like, I guess, like if a student you felt really, really connected with what you were teaching?
No, definitely. There was a student at Ujala. His name was Arsalan, and he was a gem. He was a gem. I miss him so much. We would do some of these dance exercises, and then we would kind of have a time for improv, which was basically just like playing music and like dance and do whatever you want. And his confidence was so amazing. His confidence honestly like inspired me. I am a very extroverted person. I like to think that I am a confident person, but he was just like, the energy that I got from him was absolutely amazing. He's someone that I will honestly never forget. Um, because not it doesn't matter what you're doing, that you're enjoying yourself. And I felt his joy every single time he would dance. I really felt his passion for that. So that he was a student that really stood out to me. There was another student named Aram from the garage school, and she was a beautiful singer. A lot of the students, when I was doing the garage school workshop, they were a little hesitant to sing because they weren't really comfortable. It took a while for them to sort of open up to me and actually be comfortable doing all these exercises. But I remember Aram, the first day, she said, "Do you know the song My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion?" And I was like, "Yes, I do. Of course. That's iconic." And she just sang it for everyone. I played the karaoke track and she was confident. We had a microphone. She took the microphone and she sang her heart out. And that was amazing. I still have a video of her because I was just, I guess, like struck by this confidence that they showed. So those are two students that really stood out to me during that time.
And then the last question I would like to ask is, how do you think people, especially children and teenagers, can still get involved in the arts right now, even with the quarantine and being physically distanced from others?
Yeah. So I think one nice, not really nice thing, like this pandemic is terrible, but a lot of us do have a little, I guess, like extra time on our hands to do things that normally we wouldn't really get to. And I think like honing your skills or working on things that you are passionate about is um, really important, and this is a nice opportunity to do that as well. So whether that's, you know, just sitting in your room and singing, whether it's learning how to play guitar or learning how to play an instrument, I think that's something that you can definitely do during this time. Getting involved in organizations like this, like United Under Arts, that's a great way to get involved, I guess, to get involved in the arts community and learn about all these things. um, but there's so much available, I think, on the internet in order for you to actually pursue what you want to do and get involved. Joining organizations is a great thing. In my experience, like Remedy Through Music, even though we can't go to all of those, that's my USC Music Community Service org, even though we can't go to a lot of the places that we would volunteer at, we're putting together a YouTube playlist with performances. And we're communicating through, I guess, like GroupMe and through Slack, and we're sending each other recordings of us singing or playing our instrument, and we're putting all this together to create a YouTube playlist and sending it to the places that we would normally go to volunteer at. So there's lots of ways that you can still, I guess, like hone those skills and still get involved in the arts even in a pandemic.